Have you ever tried a layered outfit and felt bulky and shapeless? I think most people think that layered outfit is just something like you just need to put on more clothes, but that's exactly why it doesn't work. In today's video, I would like to teach you the strategic approach to fall-winter layering to keep you warm, comfortable, and stylish. Plus, I've also prepared a comprehensive outfit guide, so stick around to learn how to get it. First, let me break down what I call the 3-layer system. Base layer, this is something that we keep mostly as a foundation of an outfit. It can be a statement piece, so foundation doesn't mean basic. Yeah, so it can be a statement, it can be a basic. But most importantly, we have to understand that the base layer usually has a thinner texture than any other layers. It's the layer that is the closest to your skin, so it has to have a very nice fabric that is pleasant to your skin. So what are the nice fabrics? Obviously, those are mostly natural fabrics like cotton, silk, some types of wool. I would advise going for a merino wool here because it's very thin and still pretty warm. You can also try some blends of natural fabrics, for example, like cotton with linen, cotton with wool, and things like that. I wouldn't use any synthetic fabrics for the base layer, like polyester or maybe like a nylon top or maybe a blend with synthetics, because usually synthetic fabrics, they trap heat under all those layers and you will feel very uncomfortable at some point. So trust me, no synthetics as a base layer. Middle layer is something that you put on top of the base layer, obviously. And again, it can be a statement piece, it can be basic, it all depends on an outfit. But usually it's some kind of a statement item, so it can have a little bit more interest, a little bit more personality. It doesn't have to be like over the top or very complicated, it just can have a very interesting texture or a pattern or maybe some cool color. And finally, top layer, this is something like an outerwear piece. It can be a coat or maybe a jacket, a blazer, sometimes it can even be a cardigan. Here we just need to make sure that this piece allows layering, that it has enough space for layering, right? So this means it can either be maybe one size bigger than what you usually wear, or it can already have a specific design. For example, it's an oversized piece or some other types of designs that we're gonna cover a little bit later in this video. Now that we understand all the layers that are involved in a layered outfit, let's see some examples. The slim fit turtleneck is something that is super versatile for your wardrobe because you can wear it with so many different things. Here we have a turtleneck styled under an oversized button-down shirt with trousers and a belt. The belt actually is quite important here for the styling details because it helps to reduce the bulk in the waist area. When you have a few layers tucked into your trousers or skirts, you need something that pulls everything in. When we talk about layering, it's the big picture, but also small details that are very important. Another trick that you can see here and also in a lot of other outfits that involve turtleneck and a button-down shirt is that the buttons are unbuttoned till quite low, you see? This is quite important because if you button everything up to the end, you will have a very thick and bulky neckline, and we don't really need that. When you open it up, it creates this effortless look and it's a little bit more elegant and refined. So here is another example. We have a slim-fitted turtleneck with a sleeveless jacket. And actually you can wear a turtleneck with anything sleeveless, right? That makes sense. And we are going to talk a lot about other sleeveless items because they are quite versatile for your fall-winter wardrobe. I feel like sometimes we go to the store and when we see all those sleeveless items, we just think like, who needs that in fall winter? This is so weird. But actually, those items are for layering. Yeah, you should keep in mind because they are quite versatile. When I show you, you will see. For this particular outfit, you need to understand that your turtleneck, again, should be quite thin and should have a structured neckline. Yeah, so there are some turtlenecks that have a very voluminous neck, and that is not a perfect turtleneck for layering. Here we need kind of like a classic type of turtleneck, exactly like in the picture. And another thing to remember is that your turtleneck in this kind of outfits don't necessarily need to be of a neutral color. Yeah, so it depends on what kind of middle layer you have. If your middle layer is colorful, then your turtleneck can stay neutral. Or the other way around, you can have a statement color for your turtleneck and a neutral color for your middle layer. So you can play here. Another versatile item for your wardrobe would be a slim fitted shirt. It actually can be a slim fitted or also straight fitted. Yeah, the main point is that don't try to create a layered outfit with an oversized shirt because you just simply have too much fabric for wearing anything on top of that. For some extra style points, it's nice to choose some shirts with interesting details. Like in my example, how beautiful the collar and the cuffs are in here. It's so pretty. That's what makes this outfit so beautiful, right? So it can be something like this. You can have some embroidery or elements on your collar, or it can be a beautiful contrasting color or something with a print, and then you just wear it with a simple crew neck sweater or some kind of cardigan. It can be a round neck cardigan or a v-neck cardigan, whatever you prefer. Here you just need to remember that your middle layer should be much thicker in density, right? Because we have a lot of different details in the shirt. So first of all, our buttons, then we have fabric that we tuck in your bottom, right? So if your middle layer will be too thin, everything will be seen. All this is going to be wrinkled, right? And we don't want that. Here is another outfit example that I wanted to share with you. And actually, if we look at it very carefully, we can calculate 4 different layers: a shirt, a sweater, a blazer, and then a coat. And another thing that is interesting here is that it's kind of like a monochrome outfit because we have a lot of different shades of brown, but the shirt is in contrast with everything else. It's very fresh white shirt. And again, when we look at it, the blazer actually gets most of the attention because it also stands out in color and texture and density of fabric, and we can see that it's kind of like a star of this outfit. So we can do it in 2 ways when it comes to layering with a shirt. It can either be something statement with a beautiful collar and cuffs that pick out from the other layers, or it can be something simple like in the last example. And when you go with simple, some other layer should have some kind of interest. Like here we have a pattern. Now let's look at some middle layers, and let's start with the sleeveless wool vest. As in fall and winter, there are many variety of them in the stores and in vintage shops as well. So we can play around and see how we can style them. I really like the example I'm showing you right now because the vest is actually quite simple. There is nothing really so special about it, but we can make it special if we pair it with a special shirt. Of course, if this is not your style and you don't really like voluminous stuff or ruffles or pleats, it can become even simpler, right? You can just wear a classic button down here. It can also be a thinner layer like a merino wool crew neck, something like that. Or even like we talked in the beginning, it can be a slim fitted thin wool turtleneck. Also think about this. Are your base layers, so your shirts and blouses, are they mostly simple or mostly statement? Because that's important. If they are mostly statement, then your middle layer should be mostly simple. And the other way around. In the first example, we can see kind of like a mesh top worn underneath a waistcoat is very nice. You can find something like this in thrift shops and vintage shops. The second outfit doesn't have a sleeveless top, but I just wanted to show you that any jackets with round neckline, or again could be also cardigans, will look really beautiful with high necks. The last example has statement blouse underneath with beautiful pleated statement sleeves. But if you have tops that are mostly simple, mostly basic, then maybe it's worth thinking about adding a statement middle layer. Maybe your wool vest, sleeveless wool vest, would be not just one plain color, but a statement color, maybe something like hot pink or turquoise, or it can have some interesting texture or pattern. So think about that. What do you have more in your wardrobe already? Another middle layer that we all know very well is a cardigan. But what I see very often is that people tend to choose very simple cardigans. Well, it's okay. It's one way to go. But also, if we consider it as a layering element, it doesn't necessarily need to be very simple. So we have as a base layer a linen shirt, and you can take it from your summer wardrobe. Then we have a very thick cardigans with pockets. It's quite nice, kind of men's inspired. I love it. And then we add little details, a little scarf, a brown belt, cool jeans, and we have a very interesting but quite simple to make outfit. I'm not sure if I said that already or not, but when it comes to cardigans as your middle layer, it's always actually better to go with a V-neck cardigan, yeah, because you can wear it with many different items, with collared blouses, with a crew neck blouses, with a turtleneck, anything really goes. Because here we don't have a neckline, yeah, we have a collar, so it actually has a double collar, which is all right, but it can get quite bulky. And then we also have the maxi cardigan. This is a perfect idea for those that have a mild climate, or a maxi coat. It can be thick like this, like in this example, or it can be a little bit thinner for more like end of summer, spring weather. But I really like the maxi cardigans because I think they give a lot of interest to the outfit. So depending on the color and pattern of the cardigan, it can have different styles. It can be more classical, it can be more bohemian, casual, whatever you want. And in this example, we can see we actually already have 3 layers. So the maxi cardigan is the top layer, right? Because we have a turtleneck, a slip dress, and a maxi cardigan on top. So 3 layers. Before we move on to the top layers, let me just tell you that we're just scratching the surface here, because I've created the Art of Fall Winter Layering, which is a comprehensive guide that will completely transform your approach to cold weather dressing. For each piece, I don't just tell you what it is, I explain why it works, what fabrics to look for, how it should fit, and give you multiple styling combinations. And you can download it today completely free using the link in the description of this video. let's go and check some top layers. So the coat that is perfect for layering is cocoon coat because it's already shaped perfectly for layering. It has a lot of space and you can just get it in your own size. And again, as you can see, we have a layered outfit. We have a shirt peeking out just a little bit, then we have a middle layer, which is a statement chunky sweater, and then the coat, which is kind of similar, in a similar color palette with the sweater, which actually makes the base layer a contrasting detail here. Just another styling trick to try. And another option as a top layer is a knitted or wool cape. In this picture, we have a wool cape that is a third layer. We have a turtleneck, which is quite chunky, warm sweater. Then we have a wool coat as a middle layer, and on top we have a wool cape. So it's 3 layers of wool in there. Very warm and quite dramatic with the hat and the red bag. So you see a lot to play with. The volume, the textures, colors. And even though the outfit is quite neutral, it looks fantastic, I would say. Now let's practice a little bit and deconstruct some outfits. So here we go. We have one outfit formula here that has 3 layers. We can see that both of them have denim shirts and jeans. So we have that very long denim line. Very nice. The base layer is quite simple. We have a simple t-shirt on the left and a very thin, simple turtleneck on the right. In both examples, the buttons are unbuttoned to create that effortless look. And then we have different top layers. On the left is a little bit more like business casual, a wool coat with texture, with pattern. Looks pretty nice. And then on the right, we have a jacket that has a more casual pattern, but of a completely different vibe. Almost the same items styled in a different way, depending on all those little tiny details. Here is another example. So what do we see immediately? We have a color accent for our top layers. So the base layers are monochrome and the top layer is a contrasting one that adds that pop of color. Very interesting idea and quite easy to implement. And here is another cozy outfit formula. So what do we have here in common? Well, first of all, we can see that the base layer is the same, is a white simple t-shirt. The middle layer is kind of the same, it's a plaid shirt that is peeking out slightly from the top layer. And the outfit on the left is a little bit more classic because of the blazer as a top layer. And the outfit on the right is a little bit more casual and more relaxed. But ultimately, the outfit formula is quite the same. And it happens quite often that we all have kind of like a similar items in our wardrobes. But the thing is that it will be so much more fun to style them in your own personal way. So, layering is not about adding more clothes until you feel warm. It's about understanding how different pieces work together to create warmth, comfort, and style all at once. Now, when you start curating your fall-winter wardrobe, I want you to look at your pieces through this 3-layer lens. And don't forget to download the copy of the layering guide that I've created for you. You can find the link in the description of this video. Please let me know if you have any questions, suggestions, ideas. I'm always super happy to chat with you in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.